What's going on, everybody? It's Luke here from Play Like a Jet, and we have finally made it. The 2022 NFL Draft is less than 24 hours away, but what a week we've had to endure to get here. There's been so much misinformation, misdirection, smoke screens. But what I'm going to do today is sit here and tell you not what I think will happen, not what I'm hearing will happen. I don't have sources. I'm going to tell you what I would do with the number 4 and the number 10 overall picks if I was Joe Douglas and the New York Jets. So what I've done is I've made a graph, and you can see it on the screen now. This is what I'm basing everything I'm doing in the top 10 off of. And the first question you can see there is Kayvon Thibodeaux on the board. In my opinion, despite what's been said about the character, about the film and the lack of bend, Kayvon Thibodeaux is the second best player in this draft. I'm not even convinced that he isn't a better prospect than Aiden Hutchinson when all's said and done in 3 or 4 years. I just love the floor and the ceiling, his get off, his play strength, the ability to go speed to power, but also rip around the edge. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think if the Jets don't take him, it says a little bit about their coaching staff and their hesitancy to work with these big characters. Mekhi Becton, what happened with Denzel Mims, Thibodeaux. I think there's something there to watch. So if I was there, the first question I'm asking is Kayvon Thibodeaux on the board? And if he's there, I'm running up the card, Kayvon Thibodeaux at number 4. Okay, but now let's say that Kayvon Thibodeaux is off the board. Maybe Detroit's taken him at number 2. Where do you pivot to? Well, according to the graph, I look at Sauce Gardner. Look, it's close for me between Gardner and Stingley. I think Stingley may even be a slightly better prospect, but because of the injuries, because of the level of certainty you get from Sauce Gardner, I would take him at number 4 overall next. I think if Thibodeau's off the board, he's a top 5 prospect, a huge position of need, and it is still a premier position in the NFL is the outside corner spot. I understand the Jets added DJ Reed. I like his tape a lot. Bryce Hall was great value for a 5th. You've got Michael Carter in the slot. None of those guys are stopping me from taking an elite cornerback. That's what can take this defense to the next level. Look at when the cover 3 system's been successful in the NFL. In San Francisco with Richard Sherman, he was an all-pro corner. I know he wasn't drafted in the first round, but he was an all-pro caliber player. The Jets don't have one of those on their roster right now. Then you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars back in the run that they made with this cover 3 scheme. Well, they had Jalen Ramsey, same kind of thing. Going back to the origins of this defense, the Seattle Seahawks and Richard Sherman again. Every time this system has thrived in the NFL, it's had a long, rangy outside corner who's played at an all-pro level that year. The Jets would love Sauce Gardner, and I think he'd be a fantastic value at number 4 overall. And then the last option for the Jets, the kind of last resort, in my opinion, is Ike Ekwonu. I'm assuming here that Aiden Hutchinson goes off the board in the first 2 picks. That's obviously quite clear. Look, I think Ikem is a fantastic player. I think there's a lot of similarities to him and Mekhi Becton, who came out in 2020. Fantastic against the run. Great on the front side of these pin and pull actions and outside zone running plays. The pass pro improved greatly. He's been more patient with his hands. His ability to travel has gotten a lot better in 2021 at NC State. But overall, there comes a point where allocating too many assets on the offensive line becomes a negative. Mekhi Becton and George Fant are a top 10 duo. As long as everything goes well and they can stay healthy, they're a top 10 duo in the NFL at tackle. The Jets spent a lot of assets on Elijah Vera Tucker last year, securing him with the number 14 overall pick. They went and got Laken Tomlinson to play left guard, shifting Elijah across to the other side of the line. They have Connor McGovern at center. That's an established, possible top 10 offensive line. You don't need to get cute taking Ike Ekwonu and overindulging on the offensive line. I think that would be a Joe Douglas trying to puff his chest out move. I don't think he's that kind of character, but all in all, if it gets to that point in the draft and Hutchinson, Thibodeaux, and also Sauce Gardner are all off the board, I think you do have to take him in that instance. Would I take Stingley over him? Probably. I'm not being unrealistic, though. I know that's not going to happen. So that's how I would make the decision of who I'd take at number 4. And then it leads to number 10. And let's go through the first scenario. The Jets get Kayvon Thibodeaux. From there, you can safely assume that edge is off the board at 10. You look at corner and you look at wide receiver. I look at Derek Stingley, assuming that Sauce Gardner is off the board. I'm sure the Giants would scoop him up. And then I look at Jameson Williams. I want an elite prospect with elite athleticism at a key position. That is what those 2 guys represent. Derek Stingley's 2020 tape was still phenomenal. The 2019 tape might be the best stuff we've ever seen. And then you look at 2021. There were 3 games. I watched one of those off the bat. My process with Stingley was watch a game from 2019, from 2020, and 2021. That's how I started. It took until the last 3 minutes of the 4th quarter of the 3rd game to see him allow a reception. He is a special talent. It translated in all years of the tape, despite the targets and the volume and the interceptions not being there the last 2 years of his collegiate career. And then Jameson Williams, I don't care that the New York Jets may not have him on the field for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. You're making a 5-year investment. You can't allow the short term to decide what you're doing in the best interest of the organization. If that's the hole that Joe Douglas has put himself in, that's a huge mistake. Jameson Williams is clearly the best receiver in this draft. He is the only one I would consider at 10. So that's what I'd do if the Jets took Thibodeau. Pivoting across to scenario number 2 now, the Jets take Sauce Gardner. Well, then you're looking at edge and you're looking at wide receiver. I think Johnson and then Williams again make the most sense. I've already spoken about Jameson Williams. So what about Jermaine Johnson? There's been a bit of talk about him at number 4. And people go, well, if you like him enough at 10, just take him at 4. Take the player you like. Bill Belichick doesn't do that, for example. He doesn't reach for a player just because he likes him. It's about understanding and navigating the board. I think Jermaine Johnson is a good player. I think some of his skill set was hidden first at Georgia and then moving across to FSU because he was asked to set the edge first. And I understand that he wasn't, in a wide 9 position tearing off the edge all the time. But overall, he's an older prospect who really didn't break out until his age 22, 23 season. He has 1 or 2 pass rushing moves. I think he didn't quite show the bull rush ability I would have liked with his length and leverage. And overall, he's a great run defender. He's a very solid prospect, but is solid to very good what you're looking for at number 10. I think that would be a nice selection. I think it would be a safe hit. It's a double. But at number 4, I think that's just verging too much on that Cleveland Farrell type of pick. I think they should be having higher ambitions at number 4. So that's why I'm okay with Johnson at 10, but probably not at number 4. And then to finish the video, the Jets take Ikem Ekwonu. What happens at number 10? All options are on the table. You're looking at Johnson, maybe even Carl Loftus. You've got Derek Stingley. You've got Jameson Williams. Go and get premier position players and try and get very, very good athletes and dynamic players at those positions. That's how I would attack these first 2 picks if I was Joe Douglas and the New York Jets. If Aiden Hutchinson falls to number 4, fantastic. You hand the card in straight away. He's the safest pick. He's 6'7". The arm length is a little short, but he's the most polished NFL-ready player in this draft right now. I don't think the Jets can go too wrong unless they start reaching or forcing these picks. Trust the board, trust my graph, and we'll see what happens tomorrow for the New York Jets in the 2022 draft.